This is stacked division, and they're leading it right now in the NL Central. Every single team in that division, Joe, is over 500. You got the Pirates at 33-28. You got the Cardinals at 31-28. The Cubs, the Reds, all those teams, man. And it used to be that division was kind of middling, kind of bottom dwellers, that and the AL Central. But they're the best division by far in Major League Baseball this year. Is pretty incredible. That being said, the big takeaway yesterday, outside of Kyle Harrison, I think for you was what you saw with Matt Chapman. And I guess what you're also not seeing from him at times. Looks like he's pressing. This is a guy we've talked about for a while. Obviously had the article last week, or I guess it was earlier in the week, whatever it was, Susan Slusser, of, him getting death threats and his family, and it's just the ridiculousness from some fans, if you want to call them that, or just degenerates is what I would say. He's clearly wearing it. And it's tough to watch someone's confidence in real time just kind of fail. We see it a lot in individual sports, as kind of the French Open's on right now. You see it in golf all the time. Just individual sport athletes collapse. It is harder when it's a Major League Baseball player. And Joe, there's 162 of these games. So you're watching every single day. And it hasn't been good for Matt.
Did you listen to Willard and Grandy yesterday? They had Buster Olney on.
Who's fantastic. Yes, yeah. I did.
So Buster Olney had this thing to say about the core that they have, Devers, Adames, and Chapman. And I want to preface everything I'm saying by this soundbite. So you listen to this, what, they were talking about the core, and really this is who we've got.
It would be ugly. I mean, first off, you would definitely have to eat a lot of money. You might have to take a bad contract in return. To get a team even interested in it, you might have to give up some prospect value. I mean, at this point, and then I'm just going on feedback that I'm hearing from other teams where they're like, man, they're stuck with those guys. They feel like that unless the Giants basically are willing to make a bad trade, that they're probably going to be stuck with these guys, and they just have to hope that they start playing better. It's not an easy roster to turn around, that's for sure.
All right, so let's go with this assumption that they're kind of just stuck with these guys. All right? If this was a one-year deal, this would be a different situation, but it's not. I want to talk about Chapman in last night in the eighth inning, and it reminded me of Klay Thompson. There's a lot of things I've done in my radio career that I look back on and I'm like, man, knowing what I know now, how would I have approached it? Would I have done something different? You always hear people like, no regrets. Like, no, that's not how I live my life. I have a lot of regrets. And there's a lot of things that, knowing what I know now, I would go about things a little different. When Klay Thompson was struggling, he's coming back from a devastating injury. I think it tormented him on so many levels, and it clearly zapped his physical prime. And I watched a guy every night struggle to get it back. And then I watched a guy really struggle to compartmentalize the fan conversation around him. Some of it very toxic, some of it very ugly, some of it positive. Some people were rooting for him. And I'm not sure that he did himself a lot of favors with maybe some of his body language, which is fair or not. Like, people just critique that stuff. And I came onto the air every day and I'd be like, man, Klay's just, he's not the main problem, but he's not a solution right now. And every day I would identify it. And I thought I went about it in a way that was somewhat professional. But looking back on that season with Klay Thompson, maybe I contributed to the pile-on, right? And I'm trying to reflect here, and I'm not trying to say that I'm the reason that Klay. No, I'm just saying that the conversation, these things, like, we are people that can create a stir in a good or a bad way, and these are human beings, right? Now, they're paid to play ball, and I am paid to analyze how they're playing ball. But I think how we talk about them has a very big impact on the fan base and how they're going to react to them. And I remember with Klay Thompson, it just felt like the snowball down the hill was getting bigger and bigger, and the weight on his shoulders felt larger. And with each missed shot, especially early in games, you could feel him pressing. And I legitimately felt there were multiple times where I was like, dude, this guy needs a sports hug.
Remember early on in that season, they had to have a team meeting because of his shot selection.
I know.
That was probably the signal to all of us in real time saying, oh boy, this probably isn't going to end well. You're having a team meeting this early on with a franchise legend, that one of the greatest, probably in my lifetime, maybe the second greatest three-point shooter, went up for my money. I know Reggie, I know Ray, but second greatest three-point shooter ever. You're telling him his shot selection needs to be better. It's probably not going to end well. And it did.
Now look, I'm also the creator of Don't Tell Me How to Fan. So I'm not going to tell people how to fan. But I am going to say, like, I do think that we need to understand that we are kind of stuck with these guys for now. And particularly in Matt Chapman. Last night I saw it on his face. And it all played out in that 8th inning. So it's the 8th inning. He's 0 for 2. He's got to walk. He's in the middle of probably one of the worst starts to his offensive year that he's had in his entire career. Defensively, though, there are advanced metrics that'll say, like, he's saved more runs at third base than any other guy. I just don't think he's been as good defensively, right? And I think that's just a fair thing to say. Like, by his metric and his standard of what we've seen the last few years, I don't think he's been as good defensively.
No, he still might be better than a lot of other guys, but to your point, you signed this guy hoping that he was at least going to be top 3, top 4 defensive third baseman in Major League Baseball.
I still think he's an above average defender.
He's really good. But no, at the very least, you signed him thinking you're going to get one of the plus gloves in baseball, and he really just hasn't been this year, which has been unfortunate, coupled with his poor offensive output.
Now, I pile on guys who I think are slappies, right? I think guys that are kind of like
knuckleheads.
Yeah. And guys that don't maybe put in the full work, that aren't loved by their teammates and by people on the team. Do I think Matt Chapman is one of those guys? No. I actually think he works really hard. I think he really cares. I thought Klay really cared. I think actually Klay cared too much, and I'm not ripping him on that. I think he felt his entire worth was through him as a basketball player, and I think that made it even psychologically more difficult for him. Yeah. And I'm not pretending to be some therapist or psychology major. I know people, right? And I've seen a lot of people, and I myself have gone through ups and downs emotionally, and I feel like I can spot it out when I see it.
And in Klay's case, obviously the 2 major injuries and being sidelined for that long, like no one knows unless you've gone through a major injury in rehab and trying to get back to that level, the wear and tear, not only physically, Joe, to try to get back, but mentally trying to have that hunger and trying to get back to that level. No one can ever quantify how the struggle of that is and the toll that it takes. And also, Klay Thompson's standing within that organization, within the Warriors fan base at that time.
Legendary.
Legendary.
So and much he gave more, his body for the team.
So much more in the finals, Joe. Yeah. And it's so much more than whatever the Matt Chapman standing is within the Giants fan base right now. But he's still
a human.
He is, yes.
And I still believe that I really, truly believe, for as frustrated as I've been with some of the play with Matt Chapman, I really do think he puts in the work. I really do think he really cares. And that's why I think it's tormenting him right now. And I think the psychology of sports and the confidence in this game is so fickle. How many times have you struggled at the plate and you take it out with you into the defense and you're just having a bad night? And last night in the 8th inning, he comes up to the plate. It's the top of the 8th. And you know, he's 0 for 2 with a walk, and there's a runner on third base with 1 out. Chappie, I'm thinking of, if I'm him, I'm gonna drive this run home right now. This is my moment. I'm gonna turn around my season. I'm gonna go on a run. I gotta have it. And baseball is one of those sports. The harder you try, the worse the results. It's bizarre. It's a total mental. And first pitch, boom, he pops up, and the camera cuts to him as he's in the dugout, and he's got his arms on the rail. And the poor guy I could see him, because I've been there. I could see him just thinking, like, what am I doing? How could I miss that pitch? God, like, he's going through it.
Right.
So then we get to the bottom of the 8th. Now he's out on defense. Frelick hits like this little blooper with a runner on first over third base. And he's sprinting. It's a ridiculously difficult play. It's a Texas League bloop shot. And Has he made plays like that in the past? Yeah, he has, because he's a freaking 5-time Gold Glove winner for a reason. And he just misses that play. It's an incredibly difficult play. And he gets up, you can just see he's like, like he wants it so bad to make that play. All right. Then with 2 outs, Yelich is at the plate. It's a 4-3 game. It's a 1-run game. There's 2 outs. Yelich hits a little pop fly. It's the same inning. All right. It's all happening in the same inning. And it's in foul territory. And he slides near where they'd have like that tarp roll-up thing, that area along the fence. He just misses the ball. And again, another really tough play. Also another play I've seen him make over the years. So he's like, like I could see it on him. Like he wants it so bad. Next pitch, 2-2. Pitch after that, Yelich rips one. So like a breaking ball right over the middle of the plate, rips one, it's 6-3. And the camera pans these guys running on the bases, and you could see Chapman like, if I make one of these plays, we're out of this inning. And I know the feeling. I've been there.
And after just cutting the deficit to just 1 in that half inning prior.
But like that's this like a season in a nutshell. Yeah. Well, that inning's not over. All right. Here comes Churio. He blasts ones to center field.
Yep.
And Drew Gilbert kind of mistimes his jump. He jumps up. He misses the ball. Now I'm looking at another guy whose confidence is all over the place, who also popped up with runners in scoring position to end the inning. And Drew Gilbert's hunched over, and he's cursing into his glove.
Yeah.
I've been there. Like, dude, that's a play I got to make. That's a play I got to make. We got to get out of that inning. So Churio drives in Yelich. Now it's 7-3. Churio goes to second. Gilbert's screaming into his glove. Everybody's ticked off. Turang hits one right up the middle. Adames dives. Almost hits back. Adames dives. He misses it. Now that guy scores. It's 7-3. 8-3. So there's 2 outs. Contreras hits just a little like a soft grounder in between short and third. And Chapman goes to cut it off rightfully because he's got the angle. Even though it's a catcher running, he's got the angle to throw to first. It's a play I've seen him make 1,000 times.
Yep.
And he boots it off his glove. And he kicks it almost into like short left center field behind where the shortstop would be. But Adames is coming toward third. And so Chapman runs after the ball. The look on his face, he was white as a ghost. I felt like my guy needed a hug. I sincerely felt like he was going to cry. And it right then and there hit me. I go, oh my God, dude. In a way, I feel like I'm watching the Klay Thompson experience all over again, where I'm watching an athlete who maybe his physical prime is down a little, right? Maybe a little. He's still a good player, but he's so deep in this like psychological confidence matrix of misery that it's just all coming to a crash right now. And I'm thinking to myself, like, Giants fans, I'm not saying you can't be frustrated. That's not what I'm saying. Like, this sucks right now for everyone, right? I'm not sure the piling on is helping this guy.
Yeah.
I think he is so shot confidence-wise, and we have no other, like, there's no other, alternative solution other than to try to support him now.
They're not cutting him and eating $100+ million. That's not happening.
They're kind of stuck with him.
Yeah.
And similar to Klay, Jordan Poole had this emergence, and in a weird way, it felt like it came at Klay's expense, whether that's real or not, right? You feel this young guy coming on. In a weird way, Casey's emergence has felt like a shot at Chapman's kind of status. Look, again, I'm not telling you guys how to fan. I'm not saying you can't be frustrated. I'm frustrated. He's frustrated. I'm just saying the piling on is clearly not helping this guy psychologically. And I know he's paid hundreds of millions of dollars. He's still a human, right? The same thing I said when Pablo Sandoval went to Boston. Just because you make a lot of money doesn't mean the same things that can ail us, commoners that don't make that kind of money. Like those same things happen to everyone. His confidence is shot. Does he need a day off? Maybe he does. But I just ripping him and screaming and yelling. And, obviously the death threats are like,
yikes.
It's the most low-life thing you can do. I'm not talking about those. Those are just unacceptable. Unacceptable on any level. But what I will say is, like, guys, we're stuck with these dudes. I don't know what else to say other than maybe we just, like, root for them. Maybe we just we just find a way to be empathetic. And I know it's sports culture, and he's making $150 million, and so people are going to resent that. And he's not playing well right now. And I'm not saying that you can't be frustrated. I don't know if the negativity is helping. And I'm in a roundabout way of saying, like, do we just build some sort of rally around the guy? Does that just sound like some cupcake soft, Joe Shasky BS?
Well, I think they're at the point in the season, Joe, and it was well said. It's an interesting kind of comparison. Well, no, they're 15 games under 500. What can you say? They're the worst team in the National League. They're the worst. You could only go up from here. What's the difference between 15 games under or 20 or 25? They could only go up from here in my mind when it comes to either development of the young guys. I refuse to get angry anymore at this team. I'm not going to be angry anymore. And I'll get upset maybe occasional if guys aren't running out plays or if there's buffoonery, as you're saying.
That's my point on Chapman.
He's not doing anything that's
trying
malicious.
Hard. Yeah. Would you agree with me? I've seen a lot of guys who, like Brandon Ayuk, for example. I get why Niner fans are mad at Brandon Ayuk.
Sure.
There's a level of don't care. Now, whether that's real or not, that's what's implied and what's felt.
And the contract negotiations, how it made public.
Does anybody, I'm not saying he's been good. He has not been good. That's not up for debate. He's not as good as his standard, right? What I'm saying to you is, don't you root for people who try hard?
You should.
Don't you root for people who truly care? I think in this case, Chapman is trying hard and does really, really, really care. I'm not saying he's been good. What I'm saying is that I do feel bad for him. I do. I legitimately feel bad. His confidence is completely shot, and me coming on here and just railing on him and screaming about benching him, I don't think that's helping.
I think we've learned a lot.
And I'm not saying I have this impact on his play. I'm talking about the dialogue around the players on the team that we love. We love this team, right? Whether we like where they're at right now or not. I don't know. I feel bad for him. I wanted to give the guy a hug.
Joe, you're saying Klay Thompson, and the more I think about
He's not Klay, because Klay's a legend. I'm using it as an example. It's a metaphor.
I'm not. No, I think it's actually a good comparison.
He's lost all his confidence.
I want to go to another Warriors player just this past season where I feel like we were having this same exact conversation. And a guy who I actually thought was contributing at a pretty good level, Brandon Pajemski. We were crushing this kid.
I know.
Crushing him, Joe. Unfairly.
And stuff that's not ball.
Thank you.
And I think that's the thing, as I watch, Tristan Beck last night, he's not a very good player. I've met Tristan. I met him at Moscone. He's a nice guy. But what else do you want me to say? The proof is kind of in the pudding. Yeah. He's a random relief pitcher.
You crushing him what is that going to accomplish? We
know he's not very good. Caleb Killian has had some rough outings. He's got out of the jam yesterday with the bases loaded. But Chapman has been a very good player for a long time.
Yeah.
Now, how good, we can debate it. Has he been great this year? No. But it's not like I'm watching a dude who arrogantly is defiantly not putting in the effort, doesn't care. He does all those things. I'm not saying we can't critique him. I'm not saying we can't be frustrated. What I'm saying is that the pile-on negativity, I don't think it's helping.
When do you know it's gone too far? And I'm not talking about the death threat stuff because
I'm not saying you can't boo him.
Yeah,
but the death threat stuff is just come on. You're a low life if you're doing that.
But we all me and you understand when it gets too far because we're in the nitty gritty every single day. And you're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco and Odyssey Sports Station, and the home of the Golden State Warriors and Valkyries, always live in the free Odyssey app, coming live from Laughing Monk Studios. When does it get too far from a fan base's perspective piling on a guy? I felt like we did that with Brandon Pajemski. It felt like we did that with Jonathan Kuminga.
So Mark Melancon was so let's start with that.
That's an interesting one.
To me, Mark Melancon deserved it. He didn't want to stretch with the team. He had this air of arrogance about him, and he was almost defiant. He felt like the Lone Ranger.
Brought it on himself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Armando Benitez brought it upon himself. I think Aaron Rowan at times brought it upon himself. Zito's talked about this. Zito admitted how selfish he was and how he actually fed into it.
On our airwaves, Old Station, Butcher Shop, Covey, rest in peace, Michael Urban brought him in, Barry Zito openly admitted to rooting against his own team in the World Series because he wasn't a part of it.
I guess what I'm saying is
and he's beloved in the organization.
I'm not saying you can't boo. I'm not saying you can't be frustrated. but like hashtag Crapman and some of these
God.
do we have to attack the character of these guys? I'm serious, guys. I think Matt Chapman's a good dude. Don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, by all accounts, we don't know him, but like by all accounts, I think he's a good dude.
Family man.
Ron Washington swears by his work ethic. Do we trust Ron Washington? Do we not think he's putting in the time and the effort? He's just probably, look, he's a 33-year-old guy who's played 10 years in the bigs. You know what happens to those guys in the history of the game? They start to show wear and tear. And then there's the whole psychological thing of I don't have it like I used to, and then it's like a snowballing effect. I don't know. You guys could all call me soft, and you could say maybe I'm putting too much on it. I legitimately felt like the dude needed a hug yesterday, and I know he's making $150 million. He's not going to be an empathetic character. I'm not asking you to treat him like like somebody on the streets who legitimately needs our sincere empathy. I'm talking about sports empathy here. Like us piling on with nicknames and being like, I'm talking hatred, vitriol. What does that get us? We're stuck with him. We almost have to like support this dude. Well, I don't know.
People just like to be.
I might be alone.
No, I don't think you're alone, but it's definitely become, and I think social media is another part of this, as we've talked about. Everyone has an outlet now, and you could be a faceless, avatar on whatever app you're using, and just use that to crush any player, any person, any politician, whatever you want to do. No ramifications whatsoever. They use that as an outlet. They use it as they think it's therapeutic to go out and just yell. This guy sucks. This guy sucks. This guy sucks. My life is hard. I have to go to work every day at a 9 to 5. I do manual, and I get it. You want to sit down and relax and enjoy a product. And right now, Giants fans that want to sit down and relax and enjoy this product have not been able to. They haven't been. So from that perspective, I understand the frustration and anger and vitriol and all of that. But there does need to be a point where it's a little too much. The team sucks, guys. It's not just because of Matt Chapman. It's not just because of Willie Adames. It's a collective
group. They don't have
group.
enough pitching.
Joe, it's a collective group of sucking.
Yeah, no doubt.
Just like with the Warriors.
Top to bottom.
Just like with the Warriors.
They're not good enough.
It was always, Pods, he's a symbol of everything wrong with Steve Kerr and his relationship with Jonathan Kuminga and Mike Dunleavy and all it. We get too caught up in hating individuals that honestly aren't even worth the time to hate. There are some actual scumbag humans that actually deserve some legitimate hate. There's some scumbag pieces of crap individuals that still play today. I'm talking about people with assault charges, wife beaters, all this sort of stuff. But we're going to get on Matt Chapman, that guy.
Look, he has been bad.
It's been bad, but I have no hatred towards the guy.
Look, I'm frustrated.
I'm talking hatred, Joe.
Well, that's the problem. And I just think in the Bay Area recently, I've noticed a trend in the last 5 years. We have crossed the line on social media. And I'm not talking about death threats are way unacceptable. I'm just talking about the rhetoric about how I see anonymous accounts talking about people. Come on, we're better than this.